The best way to get better is to practice. In this example, we want to look at styling an image. So let's see how we're going to do that. As always, these files are available using a link below in the description. We'll pause for about 5 seconds so that you can download that file, and then you can choose to follow along or attempt on your own and then check your answer. All right, so let's get started. We have our file from before, an image. It's using the same robot or human, and we want to add the class right to this. So inside my image, I'm going to type in class and right. Now I'm going to go to my 07-2.css file, and I'm going to make a couple of small changes. Up here, first I'm going to set image, and then I'm going to specify that I want my max width to be 100%. This is going to keep my image from ever going outside my container window like we saw in our previous example. In fact, if I went and reloaded this, you'll be able to see that change right away. But there's a couple other things I want to do. The next thing I want to do is add a slight rounding to the corners of my image. So I'm going to do border radius, and I'm just going to specify 10 pixels. This is just going to soften the edge and not make everything look quite so boxy. You can choose to not do this at all or add a small border. You can have any border radius you want, including up to 50%, and that will actually make your image into a circle. Now, what about the next thing we want to do? We want to create a selector, which is going to be for the class right, but only if it's applied to an image. So after image, I'm going to type in img.right, and then I need to specify a couple of elements here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say float right. This rule is going to push me off to the right-hand side. We saw this similarly when we did the aside. I want to specify a margin left, and I'm just going to specify 10 pixels. This will keep text from going right up against the image and make it potentially hard to read. I could also choose to put a margin top and bottom if I want for the same purpose. Typically bottom is needed, but not top. This should be everything I need. And if I save this file and reveal my 7-02.html inside my File Explorer, you'll see my slight rounding of edges like you expect, but you cannot tell that I've floated to the right. That's because my image is too big. It's taking up my full container width. So I'm going to go back to my HTML. In my image.right, I'm just going to do this real quick and say width 35%. Switch back to my web browser, reload, and now you see my image is much smaller. Did not have to go into any image editing software to do this, and it displays appropriately. However, this means that there's a lot of file that has to be downloaded, and I may not want that. Or I may want a less busy file that doesn't have all the information because I know it's going to be much smaller. So how do I solve that? That's what we're going to show in our next video. So use the link on the screen in order to see that and how we can define different images for different sizes.